in order to go beyond yourself in meditation, to transcend ego, to transcend mind, to transcend the physical. There has to be the realization that there is something, someone beyond yourself, larger than yourself, that there is something at play here that is bigger, higher than the mind, higher than this sense of I. And it is not to create a belief about it, not to imagine it, but to actually feel it. If you meditate to my Shakti music, like we're listening to now, if you do regularly, you notice there is an energy, a subtle energy, felt as peace or bliss or goodness, that meditates you, that nurtures you, nourishes you. It starts to kind of dissolve yourself into energy, into the energy itself, into the consciousness itself. That's the recognition. You recognize there is something beyond mind, ego, that you can feel, that you can sense. Until then, you're trying to do it. You're trying to meditate. You're trying to get yourself into a state of peace. You are trying to transcend yourself, which is a good start. And when you don't feel the subtle, you have to do it yourself. And you have to try. But at some point, you have to see what is beyond yourself. Feel what is beyond this I. Because the I cannot go beyond itself. The ego cannot go beyond ego. It doesn't make sense, does it? You have to be able to let go of this me. That's why we do spiritual practice, is to go beyond this me, this limited I perception. And recognize the peace, the bliss. That is not me. I did not attain it. I did not accomplish it. But it takes over. I call her she. She takes over. Because she is not an it. She is a living presence. Not physically manifest presence, but a living presence that you feel. If we look at it just as consciousness, not as energy, but just as consciousness, we can recognize consciousness in this moment, but we recognize the I being conscious. We recognize a sense of being who is consciousness. And that is not beyond this I. It is only when we recognize the consciousness who is prior to the sense of I, who is transcendent of a sense of I, can we go beyond ourselves. We recognize a feeling of peace, bliss as energy, as goodness. It is beyond ourself. We recognize the consciousness, the supreme consciousness, who is transcendent of all sense of I. Both are the same. They are both the one supreme bliss. If you don't recognize the consciousness who is supreme happiness, then that consciousness is still bound by a sense of I, identified as a sense of I or being. So with the Shakti music, I highly recommend meditating to it. You begin to feel an energy meditating you, sometimes pushing you to give up mind, pushing you to give up ego, but a lot of the time nurturing you, bathing you in bliss, and the bliss meditates you. Peace meditates you. You follow that energy subtler and subtler as your mind quietens. Then you recognize subtler and subtler levels of energy to the point where you feel energy not as energy, but as light, as the supreme light of consciousness, beyond all manifestation, mental, physical, emotional. You come to supreme joy. You come to happiness, that all is one happiness. So, yes, you have to do spiritual practice, but you don't have to attain the one supreme joy. You can't attain the one supreme joy. You recognize little by little the one supreme joy. At first just as an energy that is beyond ego mind. Even a consciousness, a silence that is beyond ego mind. and you take refuge in this energy, this consciousness, this silence, this joy, this love, who is beyond yourself, who meditates yourself, who transforms you. The highest intelligence. We don't have such a high intelligence. We're not expected to have such a high intelligence that we know how to realize the truth. But we begin to realize the intelligence that is smarter than us, and that is operating in a level of consciousness, presence, energy that we cannot understand, but who we can feel. And by giving ourselves to this, which I would say, by giving ourselves to her, we find the joy, the supreme joy that is our true self, but is transcendent of ego, transcendent of the physical, transcendent of mind. And then she floods the physical. She floods all levels of perception with bliss, with goodness, with blessings. So something to consider, because you can't do it yourself. You can't, I am going to meditate, I am going to become free. But it is that I that is the limitation, that only sees duality. So may you be blessed in her supreme joy. May everyone and everything be blessed in her one supreme joy. Om Rim Shikrubhyo Namaha. Om Namaskandikaya. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Much love to you. Much love. Jai Ma.